Hi, Pat the podcast editor here. How can you possibly predict the future of your company? Well, today, Dan and Lloyd take us through their 5 steps on how to predict the revenue of your company, regardless of the size.
If you run a business or you're in marketing and you don't currently have a predictable way of knowing the revenue that's coming into the business, these steps that we're going to share are going to be incredibly valuable to you, as they have been for us.
Now, as if 5 steps wasn't enough, you'll also hear about actions that you can take to ensure that your business adapts appropriately to its projected future.
Once you get to this value of understanding how much an unconverted lead is worth to your business, you know if that phone rings, on average, that phone call's worth £300.
So how can these 5 simple steps help you predict the future? Stay tuned to find out. Right, let's get the show on the road. This is episode 91 of the Business Anchors podcast.
We're just a couple of business anchors. Welcome to the Business Anchors podcast. This jingle is slightly too long. This jingle is slightly too long.
What is predictable revenue and why is generating it so important for business owners, Lloyd?
Because I think we basically have a superpower in this business now of accurately knowing what our future income to the business is. And that just gives you so much freedom to make the best decisions for your business.
It didn't used to be like this though, did it?
No, we didn't know how much money was coming in tomorrow.
No.
Yeah. We've definitely come a long way with it, and it's majorly helped our business in the last few years. So I guess we have gone from the point of having no idea what money will be coming in the future, whether it's going to be good or bad, to having this process of being, and I think a process that almost any business can have, to accurately predict our future income.
I remember it almost being a complete shock that some months we'd get to the month and just be like, oh, what are we doing this month? How are we paying the bills? And just it all being a big surprise.
Yeah.
And we kind of just used to do things as and when, oh, someone wants a bit of work done, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Whereas now we've got a very systemized approach that gives us warning signs 3-4 months in advance to know if we're not doing the right things, hitting the right numbers to be having a sustainable amount of business to make this work.
If you think, if you follow the steps that we're going to go through so that you can do this too, being able to accurately predict the income that you're going to have in the future means you can make decisions like, oh, okay, well, I need to start recruiting people because I need more staff in 3 months' time. Or the other way, obviously negative, but, if I don't change something, I can't pay all the bills in 3 months' time because I can see that the income's going to drop. So we need to work this out, or we need to get rid of people, or, whatever needs to happen. So it can really be a lifesaver. Also for investing in your business. It's like, if you know that your income is going to be higher and you're going to have spare cash in the business in future months, you can go, oh, actually, well, we were talking about getting a new van, and that's going to be a great investment for the business and mean we can deliver our products 20% more efficiently. Or, for us with the studio that we've built for the podcast, at the point where we predicted, we can see that our income, we're going to have the spare cash, and we invested in this kind of unit down here about £20,000 in various things to improve our business. And we couldn't have done that, or we would have had to take massive risks doing that if we didn't know what our income would be in the future.
I don't just think it's the decision-making benefits, like you've said, though. For me, whose responsibilities are the sales and marketing for our business, I think it also dramatically reduces stress. Because the stress I used to get when we'd get to a month and Lloyd would be like, what's going on with sales? And I'd be like, and didn't really know what was going on. We couldn't, we didn't have enough to do what we needed to do. Now it's so far in advance that the stress levels, may increase slightly because we know, right, something needs to change because in 3 months' time, we're not going to be having what we need to have to.
We have things in place now where every Friday, so once a week, forever, we have signs, what we will call lead indicators that we'll go into in a minute, and we can see that's going to affect the business positively or negatively in 3 or 4 months' time. And having that, like you're saying, reducing stress for everyone and knowing where we are and having the time to make decisions so you don't get in a stressed situation. It's like a superpower, like I said.
So if you run a business or you're in marketing and you don't currently have a predictable way of knowing the revenue that's coming into the business, these steps that we're going to share are going to be incredibly valuable to you, as they have been for us.
So, Dan, the steps that give you this superpower, please tell the lovely Business Anchors listeners.
So there's five steps to ensure you're generating predictable revenue for your business. The first one is all about setting goals. To understand if you're achieving the revenue targets you need to achieve, you need to actually have the goals for that first of all. So have a think about what are your revenue goals each month to hit your revenue goal for the year, and break that down. Most people will have this already, but if you haven't got any kind of goal, set that out.
If you don't have that already, just work out a number that to break even, our business needs this much, and a goal that means we'll be earning a good amount will be this much, and a stretched goal will be this much, just so you can see where you are on the sliding scale and the absolute minimum you need to cover your costs and survive.
Yeah, definitely. And once you've set that goal, step 2 is to set up some kind of process, if you don't have it already, to track the leads coming into your business. Now, there's a really great tool we use called HubSpot. There's a free version, which everyone should give it a go. It's really, really good, where it's like a CRM system, customer relationship management tool, where whenever a lead comes in, you can input that lead so that it's all tracked digitally and you've got all of that data there. So you need some kind of way of tracking how many leads are coming in. You may already have this. If you've already been tracking this kind of data, then that's great. But if you haven't, you need some data to make this work.
And this is relevant to businesses of all sizes. So whether you've got a sales team in a massive office and there's 70 people selling for your business, or if you're someone who makes model trains and you're one guy who just gets people phoning them, like, don't just think, oh, I don't get business leads, I just get, a few people ring they are your leads. If Tommy's calling up going, I'm thinking I might get you to produce another big old steam train, I don't know anything about model trains, that's what you'd be recording, right? Tommy's called and said he might be interested in the big old steam train.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that.
Tommy loves his trains.
So once you've set your goals, you've tracked the leads coming into your business, you probably need 1 to 3 months data to make this work, but the more data you have, the better. So you've been tracking leads for a month or 3 months or a year. You've got that data, right, every month I'm generating X amount of leads. On average. The next thing you need to do, number 3, is work out the value of an unconverted lead. And this will become apparent why this is important in a second. So the way you work out the value of an unconverted lead is to take the total revenue generated in that period of time. So let's say in your first quarter, you generated £3,000 in revenue. Take that number. Then divide that by the number of leads that have come in that time period. Now, we know not all of them have converted, but it's the total revenue figure divided by the total number of leads. So let's try and make this simple. Let's say in the first quarter, you generated £3,000 and you've had 10 leads. Trying to keep these numbers simple so that I can do the math. Mm-hmm. You basically divide the total revenue by the number of leads. So 3,000 divided by 10. So an unconverted lead is worth £300. Does that make sense, Lloyd?
Yes, it does. And so that, depending on your business, you may have a business where you have 1,000 leads and only 2 or 3 of them convert, or you might have a business where you have 10 leads and 8 of them convert. But the same calculation will work. So no matter how many customers you had to convert to get to that, it still works out.
Yeah.
And this is amazing. So once you get to this value of understanding how much an unconverted lead is worth to your business, that means whether you're Tommy with his model trains, if that phone rings, Tommy wasn't making the trains. Tommy was his customer. But if you're Brian and Tommy's calling you, when Tommy calls you, that on average, that phone call's worth £300. So if that phone's ringing 5 times this week from different people,
£1,500
on average, that's going to be worth £1,500. And it might be that one week that's worth 1,000 and the next week it's worth 2,000 because you have good and bad weeks, but over time you'll know that it's at that level.
Yeah.
And that's just such a magical moment when you get to that point, because even it takes the stress away from, I hope I convert these deals this week. I need to sell stuff, because if the signs are still showing, I'm getting enough leads in, I know that over time it's all going to work out, because I know that's how much it's worth. It really reduces your stress, and you can know you're in a good position.
And then what you can do, step number 4, is work out how many unconverted leads do you need to achieve your sales targets. So let's say, as we were saying, an unconverted lead is worth £300. And let's just say your sales targets are £3,000 a month. You need 10 unconverted leads to generate the £3,000 a month to hit your sales targets. Mm-hmm. So if you're not generating 10 leads a month, you're going to get behind with your sales targets. And that's what we call a lead indicator. So that's something showing you, and we track this on a weekly basis in our weekly meetings. I have to report to the team how many leads have we generated this week, to see if we're on target for our weekly goal. And if we're not, then we can start to make changes to know.
And the way that this allows us to predict the future, like I was saying, it's because we know from when the phone rings, or we get a message through our website or a LinkedIn DM of that lead initially, we know that it usually takes 3 or 4 months until that has an effect on our bank account, basically, the money in the bank. By the time you've gone through the process of converting or not converting those leads, completing a project, and then paying for it, we've got 3 or 4 months' time to make changes and adapt if we need to. So if we've had 1 week where we know we need 10 leads, is it a week or a month we need 10 leads, Dan? I can't remember the example. Okay, a month. All right. In this made up example, we need 10 leads in a month. So that's 2.5 a week or 2 roughly. A week, roughly. So if we've had a week where we've got no leads, we know, hang on, in 3 or 4 months, if this continues, we're going to have a real issue here. Yeah. Or if we're like, hang on, the last 3 weeks, we've had 5 leads each week. We know that's double what we need. In 3 or 4 months, we're likely to be able to hit double our targets if we have the capacity to do so. So Brian, at that point, goes, hang on,
Brian's loving
my lead indicators are showing I could have double the income in 3 or 4 months. I need to hire Sandra to help me with these model trains. And I know that now rather than 10 minutes before the sale comes in.
And that is step 5, which you've just explained.
Sorry.
Step 5 is tracking this on a weekly basis and then making appropriate changes if needed to ensure you're going to hit those numbers in the future weeks. And like you said, it could be making changes to your marketing strategy. It could be trying and tweaking different things. It could be making more calls, trying to make those changes so that you know that you're going to hit the numbers you need to. If you just sit there and look at the numbers and know that, we're not achieving what we need to achieve and not doing anything, nothing's going to change.
If you're in a bigger business as well and you have the resource, you may have things that can increase or increase leads if you need it. So you may know that, okay, our Google PPC campaign, we know we have to pump about this much money into it to get this many leads. And if leads are looking low, then you can have that conversation with your manager, whoever the decision maker, and say, look, we're looking pretty low. If the team's going to have enough work to do in 3 months' time, we need to increase the leads. Let's increase our budget into the PPC campaign, make sure that we fill that gap so we don't have a room of 30 people that are working at 50% capacity.
And I think a really important thing to make this all work is having that process where you're checking the numbers on a regular basis. Like Lloyd mentioned, the way we do this is in our weekly meetings, our weekly team meetings, and we use a system from the Entrepreneur's Operating System where we've got a scorecard to rank everything we're doing and score everything we're doing. If you want more info on how you can do that, go and listen to episode 72 called How the Entrepreneur's Operating System is a Game Changer for Business. And in that episode, we break down how you can do that, because that's a really important point to make this all work, isn't it?
If you think, whereas if we didn't have these things in place in our business, we wouldn't kind of work out until 2 or 3 months down the line we have an issue. Now, every single week we're on top of this. And don't get me wrong, if we have a week where we don't hit our targets, we don't worry about it. But if we see, the last 2 weeks we haven't been, those lead indicators are looking low or they're looking high, that's when we start going, okay, there's a pattern here that we need to take some kind of action. So if there's a pattern of 2 or 3 weeks where it's looking high, we start making plans in how we're going to have extra capacity to deliver more work in our business in the future. And if the lead indicators are looking low, we need to start looking at how do we increase these results, increase the numbers for the next few weeks to make up for it, or obviously the negative side, but something that at least you'll have time to take action with is, okay, we're not going to need as many resources in 2 or 3 months. So actually we've got freelancers that we work with that we need to kind of say, it looks like in July we're not going to have as much work for you. And I think that's the important thing with this whole process. If you don't take action in response to those lead indicators, it's all pointless. So when you see that they're low or high and you see patterns, you need to take action to get it where you need it to be.
Examples of the kind of actions we take, for example, increasing the volume of your output of content. If we're seeing that we're not reaching as many people as we should be and our numbers are down, we produce more TikToks, we produce more content on LinkedIn. It obviously still needs to be good quality, but we send more outreach videos as part of our LinkedIn outreach strategy. So whatever your marketing is, you should understand what are the levers that you can pull to increase that what's happening or reduce it to hit the numbers.
And the more of those levers you can work out, the better control you have. So it's like saying you might have a flexible workforce where you can plan, right, we can get more help, we can get less help and that sort of thing. Or the other end, those flexibilities on how many leads are coming in and changing that so just your workforce is going to be fine because we're just going to turn the tap on or turn it off. Or we're using a lot of levers or taps. I've kind of mixed them up there.
We'll go for both.
Yeah, turn the lever on next to the tap.
But yeah, I think just my summary is I really think that if you implement this kind of process in your business, it will be a game changer as it has been for us. So don't make this one of those episodes where you listen to it like, that sounded good, see you later. Actually take the steps that are needed. And we've got a written version of this on our website, noltamarketing.co.uk. So go and read that if you want.
Even if your first step today is just working out how much an unconverted lead is worth to your business, that's quite an exciting point where you're like, okay, so every time that phone rings or someone contacts me, it's worth that much. It's quite exciting.
Yeah.
Or it could be worrying. It's worth 50p and it only happens twice. But
yeah, this could be
it'll be worthwhile.
This will either make you panic because your business is terrible and it's failing, or excited because you know what you're doing and you can make the appropriate changes to achieve what you need to achieve.
Good all round. I think this was a good episode.
Good.
Yeah. Good value adding stuff.
If you've liked this, please do subscribe, tell your friends about it.
I will.
No, not you. You already do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we'll see you in your ears next week.
Yeah, okay. See you in your ears. Nice.